I stared at the spreadsheet showing 3 years of my life reduced to numbers. 4,680 hours of unpaid overtime. 0 bonuses. 0 raises. My father's voice echoed from his corner office. Family doesn't clock out, Jay. Blood means free labor. That sentence shattered something inside me I didn't know could break. I was 28 years old, running operations for Reyes & Sons Construction, my family's company, while my father played golf and my older brother Jamal collected paychecks for showing up hungover twice a week. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as I calculated what I should have earned. $234,000. Gone. Stolen by the people who taught me to say grace before dinner. My phone vibrated. Dad's text, client meeting 6 a.m. tomorrow. Don't be late like last time. Last time I was 10 minutes late because I'd worked until 4 a.m. fixing Jamal's screw on the Riverside project. I'd saved the company $300,000 in penalties. Dad's thank you. That's what family does. I looked around my cramped basement office. No windows, one desk, surrounded by boxes of files nobody else wanted to organize. Upstairs, Jamal had a corner suite with a view. Dad had the penthouse level. Mom ran HR from a renovated space with imported furniture. And me, the guy who actually built this company's reputation, I got the dungeon. My hands trembled as I opened my laptop. It was time. 3 years ago, Reyes & Sons was drowning. Dad's old-school approach had alienated every major client in Atlanta. We were 6 months from bankruptcy when I graduated with my master's in construction management from Morehouse. I came home to help temporarily. That temporary became permanent when I landed the Peachtree Plaza renovation, $8 million, our biggest contract ever. I'd connected with the project manager, Brenda Watson, during a networking event. She took a chance on me despite our company's reputation. I promised her excellence. I delivered perfection. The project finished 2 months early, 15% under budget. Brenda sent 5 referrals our way. Then came the Buckhead residential development, the Midtown commercial complex, the East Atlanta infrastructure project. Each one I pitched, negotiated, and managed personally. I hired the right people, implemented new project management software, established relationships with suppliers, and created systems that actually worked. Revenue jumped from $2 million to $18 million annually. Dad bought a boat. Jamal bought a Porsche. Mom redecorated their house 3 times. I drove a 2010 Lexus 350 with a check engine light I couldn't afford to fix. You'll get yours when the time's right, Dad always said, usually while admiring something new he'd bought. The time was never right. Every Sunday dinner became an exercise in humiliation masked as family tradition. Jay, pass the rolls. Mom's voice was sweet as she sat in her designer dress, fresh from her noon yoga class, during work hours, naturally. I'd just come from inspecting the Decatur site where Jamal had ordered the wrong materials. Again. I'd spent my Saturday fixing it. I was wearing the same jeans I'd worked in because I hadn't had time to go home. Son, you look tired, Dad said, carving the roast. Maybe you need to work smarter, not harder. He chuckled. Uncle Boyd, Dad's brother, and our CFO, who didn't know Excel from a hole in the ground, laughed too. Jamal smirked from across the table, his Rolex catching the light. That Rolex cost more than I'd made all year. Actually, Dad, I wanted to talk about compensation, I started. The table went silent. I've been tracking my contributions, and I think it's time we discuss. Discuss. Dad's fork clattered against his plate. Boy, everything you have, I gave you. This roof over your head during college. That education. Your job. You want to discuss compensation like you're some outsider. I don't live here anymore, Dad. Haven't for 5 years. And I'm not asking for charity. I'm asking for fair payment for. Fair. Uncle Boyd interrupted, his fat face reddening. You know what's fair. Respecting your father. That's fair. Jay, baby, why do you always have to ruin dinner? Mom sighed, as if I'd committed some unforgivable social crime by requesting payment for my work. That night, I couldn't sleep. I pulled up every contract, every project, every client relationship. I'd built a database months ago, tracking everything. The numbers were devastating. Of the 42 active clients, I'd personally brought in 38. Of our 15 employees, I'd recruited and trained 12. Our profit margin had increased from 8% to 23% since I implemented new systems. The company's reputation had gone from barely acceptable to industry leader, based on projects I'd managed. I opened my banking app. My checking account, $847. Savings, $2,300. Student loans, $67,000. I was broke while making my family rich. I looked at my company email. 847 unread messages, most from clients asking specifically for me. They didn't want Reyes and Sons. They wanted J. Reyes. There was a difference, even if Dad refused to see it. My roommate, Kelvin, knocked on my door. "Man, you good? It's 3 a.m. Just working." "You're always working. For what? They paying you?" "It's family." Kelvin snorted. "Family pays family. What they're doing is called exploitation." He wasn't wrong. I'd watched Kelvin build his graphic design business from his bedroom to a small office with 3 employees. He'd started 6 months after I joined Reyes and Sons. He now made more than me while working 30 hours a week. I created a new folder on my laptop. Titled it Exit Strategy. It was time to stop being their workhorse and start being my own boss. Monday morning, 5:47 a.m. I was already at the office when Dad strolled in at 9:30, Starbucks in hand. He dropped a stack of files on my desk. "Jamal messed up the permits for the Marietta project. Fix it." "Oh, and the client's threatening to pull the contract. Handle it." "Dad, this is the 3rd time this month I've had to fix Jamal's mistakes. Maybe he needs additional training or maybe you need to remember who's in charge." Dad's eyes went cold. "Jamal's family. He gets grace. You." He paused. "Your family too, but you're also the one who's good at this stuff. So do your job." "My job? Dad, what exactly is my title? What's my salary? What are my actual responsibilities versus what I'm actually doing?" He stared at me like I'd spoken in tongues. "Your title is son. Your salary is being part of this family legacy. Your responsibility is whatever needs doing. Blood means free labor, Jay. The sooner you accept that, the happier you'll be." There it was. The truth he'd been dancing around for 3 years, finally spoken plainly. Blood means free labor. Not family takes care of family. Not we're building this together. Blood means free labor. I was livestock, not leadership. "I need to make a call," I said quietly. "Make it quick. Client meeting at 11. I walked to my car and called Brenda Watson. "Brenda, it's Jay. Remember when you said if I ever wanted to go independent, you'd be my first client?" "I remember. You finally ready?" "I'm ready." I gave myself 2 weeks. 2 weeks to prepare the perfect exit while maintaining the perfect facade. I worked harder than ever, which nobody questioned because they expected nothing less. But now every client interaction had purpose. Every conversation was strategic. During site visits, I pulled aside foremen I'd hired. "Hypothetically, if I started my own firm, would you be interested in coming with me?" 7 out of 8 said yes immediately. They'd all been underpaid too, exploited by Dad's family company philosophy even though they weren't family. I met Brenda for coffee in Midtown, away from anyone who might know my family. "I've got 3 projects lined up," she said, sliding a folder across the table. $8 million total value. They're yours if you can start by next month. All people I've worked with who specifically requested you, not Reyes and Sons. $8 million. More than half of my family's current annual revenue. My hands shook as I read the contracts. "Brenda, why are you doing this?" She smiled. "Because I've watched your father take credit for your work for 3 years. I've sat in meetings where you presented brilliant solutions and he interrupted to add nothing of value. I've seen you work weekends while your brother parties. Talent recognizes talent. J. And exploitation? I recognize that too. I met with a lawyer that Wednesday. Helen Bennett, a Spelman grad who specialized in business formation. Non-compete clause, she asked, reviewing my employee agreement. Never signed one. Her eyebrows raised. Seriously? Dad said family doesn't need contracts. Helen grinned. His mistake is your opportunity. Friday afternoon, 2 weeks after my decision, Dad called a family meeting. Uncle Boyd, Mom, Jamal, and me crammed into the conference room. We've got a problem, Dad announced. 3 clients have requested proposals from other firms for upcoming projects. That's never happened before. I knew which 3. I told them to do exactly that, to cover my tracks. They weren't leaving yet, just creating the appearance of shopping around. Maybe our pricing isn't competitive anymore, I suggested innocently. Nonsense, Uncle Boyd huffed. We're the best in Atlanta. Are we? I asked. When's the last time any of you actually visited a job site? When's the last time you reviewed our processes? Our equipment's outdated, our software's from 2015, and our crews are overworked because we're understaffed. This is your department, Jay, Dad said. You're operations manager. Why haven't you fixed these things? Operations manager. First time he'd ever actually called me that. I've submitted 12 budget requests for equipment upgrades, 7 proposals for new hires, and 4 presentations on software systems. All denied because, quote, we're family, we make do. Mom's face pinched. Don't take that tone with your father. What tone? I'm stating facts. Jamal leaned back in his chair, smug. Maybe if you spent less time complaining and more time working, we wouldn't have these problems. Something snapped. Jamal, you worked 17 hours last week. I worked 92. I've fixed 6 of your mistakes this month. Don't talk to me about working. The room went silent. Monday morning. I'd spent the weekend moving my personal files, deleting my access to company passwords I'd created, and setting up Reyes Solutions LLC. My new company. My future. I arrived at the office at 6 a.m., printed my resignation letter, and placed it on Dad's desk. Then I waited. He arrived at 9:45, coffee in hand, not a care in the world. I watched through my office window as he picked up the envelope, opened it, read the single page. His face went from confused to red to purple. He stormed out of his office. Jay, get in here. Now. I walked in calmly. You read my letter. 2 weeks. You think you can just leave with 2 weeks' notice after everything I've done for you? Actually, I'm leaving today. The 2 weeks is a courtesy for transition documentation, which I've already prepared. It's all in the shared drive. You can't do this. You're under contract. Show me the contract, Dad. Show me my employment agreement, my non-compete, my official job description, anything with my signature that says I can't leave. I paused. Oh wait, you can't. Because family doesn't need contracts, remember? Mom rushed in. Jay, baby, what's happening? I'm quitting. Quitting? You can't quit. This is your legacy. My legacy? Mom, I don't even have equity in this company. Jamal has 15%. Uncle Boyd has 10%. I have 0. Some legacy. Dad's hands were shaking. After everything we've invested in you. Invested? I laughed, and it felt good. You invested in my education, which I'm grateful for. But I've paid that back 100 times over. I've made this company $18 million in 3 years. Know what I've been paid? $68,000 total. That's $23,000 a year. Uncle Boyd makes $200,000. For doing nothing. You're being selfish, Uncle Boyd wheezed, his face sweating despite the air conditioning. Family sticks together. Then why didn't family pay me? Why didn't family give me equity? Why didn't family treat me like I was valuable instead of expendable? Jamal appeared in the doorway. Bro, you're really doing this? Over money? Over respect? Over basic human decency? Over being told that my blood, my DNA, means I should work for free? Yeah, Jamal. I'm really doing this. Where will you even go? Mom asked, tears forming. No one will hire you. Not in Atlanta. Your father knows everyone. I smiled. I don't need anyone to hire me. I'm hiring myself. I pulled out my phone, opened the photo of my LLC registration, and showed them. Reyes Solutions, LLC. Filed last Friday. Already have 3 clients lined up. 8 million in contracts. The room exploded. Dad lunged forward. For a second, I thought he might actually hit me. Instead, he grabbed my phone, stared at the screen, his face contorting. You stole our clients. You sneaking little. I didn't steal anyone. They came to me. Because they want me, not Reyes and Sons. There's a difference. I took my phone back. I'll be clearing out my desk now. My keys and access cards are in the envelope with my resignation letter. You'll regret this, Dad said quietly, dangerously. I'll make sure you never work in this city again. Try it. But remember, Dad, 38 of your 42 clients specifically requested me for their projects. You might want to think carefully before you start making threats. I walked out. Just like that. 3 years of exploitation ended in 15 minutes. The first month was chaos. Beautiful, terrifying chaos. I worked from my apartment, my kitchen table becoming my desk, my bedroom my office. The 8 employees who'd agreed to join me all gave notice within 3 days of each other, clearly coordinated, clearly loyal to me over the company. Dad tried to sue for conspiracy to destroy a business. His lawyer laughed him out of the office when he couldn't produce a single enforceable contract. Brenda's 3 projects started immediately. The perimeter office complex, the downtown renovation, and the suburban development. All projects that would have gone to Reyes and Sons if I'd stayed. I was honest with every client. I'm new. I'm small. But I'm the same person who delivered excellence for you before. Now you just get me directly, without the overhead. They signed. All of them. By week 6, I had 12 projects totaling $14 million. Reyes and Sons revenue dropped to $4 million. Dad called me 17 times. I answered once. What, Dad? Jay, we can work this out. Come back. We'll talk about equity, about salary, about respecting me like a human being. Too late. I hung up. Kelvin helped me rent a small office in East Atlanta. 800 square feet, big windows, room for 4 desks. It felt like a palace compared to my basement dungeon. I hired a receptionist, Angela, who'd been laid off when Reyes and Sons suddenly had to cut costs. She told me everything. Clients were jumping ship. Suppliers were demanding immediate payment instead of net 30 terms because Dad's reputation was tanking. Jamal was having panic attacks. Uncle Boyd had stress-induced chest pains. I felt nothing. No guilt. No regret. Just freedom. Month 4, I landed the Hamilton Hotel renovation. $32 million. The biggest contract in Atlanta construction that year. The same contract Reyes and Sons had been pursuing for 18 months. I won it in 3 weeks. The Hamilton Group's CEO, Richard Hamilton, called me personally. Jay, your father came to our office yesterday. Made quite a scene. Said you stole his business strategy, his clients, his employees. Want to tell me your side? Mr. Hamilton, I worked for my father's company for 3 years. Never received a written contract, never received equity, made $23,000 a year while generating millions in revenue. I left legally, started my own firm, and competed fairly. Every client chose me based on merit. That's my side. Silence. Then, the contract's yours. Your father's a fool. I was leaving my office that evening when Dad's Mercedes pulled up. He got out, older somehow, diminished. 32 million, Jay? You're trying to destroy me. No, Dad. I'm trying to build myself. There's a difference. You're taking food from your own family's table. You took 3 years of my life. You took my dignity. You told me blood means free labor. Now you're mad because I'm using that same blood to compete. I stepped closer. You could have had me as a partner, as an equity stakeholder, as a respected member of the team. Instead, you chose to exploit me. These are consequences. His voice cracked. I gave you everything. You gave me a childhood, which I'm grateful for, but I earned everything else. Every client. Every project. Every success. Me. Not you. He stared at me, this man who'd taught me to throw a football, who'd attended my graduations, who'd also treated me like property. Your mother's devastated. She stood by while you exploited me. Save it. 6 months after my resignation, Reyes Solutions occupied 4,000 square feet in a renovated building in Midtown. I had 18 employees, 27 active clients, and 38 million in contracted work. Reyes & Sons had 4 employees, Dad, Mom, Jamal, and Uncle Boyd, and 1.2 million in contracts, all small residential jobs. They'd had to sell the office building. Dad's boat. Mom's luxury car. Jamal's Porsche got repossessed. Brenda stopped by my office with champagne. 6 months. You've basically destroyed them while building an empire. How's it feel? Honest? It feels like justice. We toasted. They could have had all of this. We could have been partners. Real partners. Instead, they chose greed and ego. My phone buzzed. Mom's number. I'd ignored her calls for months, but something made me answer. Mom. Jay. Her voice was small. Your father's in the hospital. Stress-induced heart attack. He's asking for you. I felt something twist in my chest. Not guilt. Maybe sadness for what could have been. Is he stable? Yes. But Jay, please. He's your father. I'll think about it. I hung up. Turned to Brenda. My father's in the hospital. You going? Should I? She considered. That's not a business question. That's a you question. But Jay, whatever you decide, don't let it undo what you've built. Not the company. You. The self-respect. The boundaries. Those matter more than any contract. She was right. I'd built more than a business. I'd built a life where I wasn't a workhorse. Where I was valued. Where blood didn't mean free labor. It meant something better. Self-worth. I visited Dad in the hospital. Not out of obligation, but curiosity. He looked smaller in that bed, hooked to monitors, his empire crumbled. Jay. You came. I came. Saturday. How are you feeling? Like an old fool. He tried to smile. Your mother tells me you're doing well. Better than well. I'm doing what I was always capable of, just without you taking credit. He flinched. I was wrong. About everything. The way I treated you. The way I valued you. Blood shouldn't mean free labor. It should mean more. It's too late for us, Dad. You know that, right? We're not going to be business partners. We're probably not even going to have Sunday dinners. I know. Tears rolled down his face. I just want you to know I'm proud. Angry, hurt, but proud. You did what I was too scared to do. You bet on yourself. I stood. Get better, Dad. Not for me. For you. I walked toward the door, paused. And Dad? If you ever tell anyone that blood means free labor again, I'll make sure they hear my story. Every word. I left. Outside, the Atlanta sun was setting, painting the sky orange and gold. My phone buzzed with notifications, 3 new project inquiries, a congratulatory email from the Mayor's Office for Minority Business Excellence, a text from Kelvin asking about dinner. I was 29 years old, my own boss, my own legacy. Blood doesn't mean free labor. It means knowing your worth and demanding others recognize it too.